Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Minor League Report recap here for week 16 here. I'm Rahel Castillo, alongside me is Chris Brown. Sorry for being a little late this evening. We had JJ Cooper on for our Patreon folks. So if you are a Patreon member, if you are paid tier, which is a $3 or $5 tier, you'll be getting that podcast tomorrow morning. So that'll be dropping today. So
JJ gave us an hour, which was awesome. We talked about just about everything you could want to talk about: the top 30 updates, top 100 prospects, the changes in the Tigers' developmental system, everything. So I encourage those people to check it out. But anyway.
So if you join either the $3 tier or the $5 tier, you'll get that podcast ready to load in your inbox. So but there's plenty to talk about though. The Tigers made a trade this evening before they put the game against the Diamondbacks as a fistful of fury of action. I'm not saying a lot of F's there. As the Tigers won today 5-1 over Arizona. Suarez is, by the way, his X-rays came back negative. A lot of news happened today, too, in addition to just the Tigers trade. Ryne Sandberg, the former Cubs great, passed away of cancer this evening, so that was some sad news for Cubs fans. And anybody has never said a bad word about Rhino. Rhino is just a really nice guy. He was also a minor league manager in the Philly system as well. And so it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Sandberg was one of the first sort of superstars that I remember growing up, and it was actually toward the later side of his career, late 80s, early 90s. And to me, he was like a power hitter, but you go back and you look, and he was stealing 30, 40 bases a year when he was younger, and I think he's another classic case of a late draft pick. I'm looking right now. He was 20th round in 1978 out of a high school in Spokane, Washington. And, career 285 hitter, 282 home runs, 344 steals. A real bummer. I had no idea that he was sick. I think that happens a lot of times, though. Some people like to, do that privately. And, one of the great second basemen of all time. So that's a shame. But as you said, there was all sorts of crazy news today. The first drip of it, right, was... Andy Ibanez is back. And, he sure was back tonight. He had a double and a home run. But we're like, all right, well, who's he coming up for? And we're speculating if there was a trade or, somebody got cut. And then it turns out that that Ryan Cryler's back, too. And, Reese Olson, or before that was the trade, right? Like the Tigers are about to acquire Chris Paddack. We're like, what? And, just a lot of stuff. And then I don't know if you saw that there were, I think John Heyman and maybe somebody else had mentioned that the Yankees and the Rays were both also after Chris Paddack, which was kind of
I didn't see the Yankees, right? I saw the Rays, but And then they picked up Randy Dobek, who was a former USBL player who played for Utica. And then one of the things I put in the article is somebody in the area might have got an Uber from him. But then right as I'm finishing up the article, putting it on the website, then they say that Reese Olson's out for the year.
Yeah, now that's a huge bummer. Obviously, I don't think that needs to be. You can't really understate that. And when you think about it, that's the second member of their starting rotation who's out for the year, along with Jackson Jobe, who we kind of, forget about now. So Chris Paddack is not going to replace Reese Olson, and there probably isn't somebody they can go out there and get to replace Reese Olson, but. Troy Melton did a pretty damn good job tonight. That was awfully impressive. 7 innings of scoreless ball. They said that's the first Tiger starter to do that in one of his first 2 starts since Andy Van Hecken in 2002.
Yeah,
really
what?
Impressive.
And also there was a interesting stat line the Tigers posted tonight too. That was really, as far as Troy Melton, or I'm sorry, where is it? The stat, Troy Melton historic stuff here. The Tigers PR department tweeted this out earlier. The Tigers starters have grown 6+ shutout innings in 3 straight games. It's the third time this has happened in franchise history, with other instances coming in 1949 and 1910.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it hasn't happened in 70+ years. There you go. Melton is as good as advertised. He is not a reliever. Just letting you know right now, he is not a reliever. Ladies and
Well,
gentlemen, he is not a reliever. I just
no,
want to point that out again.
he could be later this year, in the same the sort of way that Joe was last year, right? Like where they're going to try to control his innings, and what you see, he's throwing very hard. They could use him out of the bullpen later just to do that, but he has everything he needs to be a quality big league starter. So yeah, I'm not worried about that in the future. Basically, I think you saw it tonight, right? He threw a lot of strikes. His only issue was sometimes leaving pitches over the heart of the zone, and that will continue to be an issue for him, I think, for a little while. But the stuff is plenty good to get big league hitters out, and he saw it tonight. So it's pretty nice to have a guy like that you can bring up in late July and look like, okay, this guy might be able to help the rotation for real down the stretch. So that helps. I don't think the Tigers are done making acquisitions by any means, but I am skeptical that we're going to see any kind of blockbuster. Right? I just don't know if there are blockbusters out there to be had.
No, I don't think so either. And it's so funny. So some people are like kind of caught off guard with Melton. And look, folks, Melton's been the only prospect they had. Melton looks like the main character from the Fantastic Beasts, Eddie Redmayne, Newt. I like that. That was Andrew Scott there. That's a good one there. And Melton's been the only we've been high on Melton for a while now. The one thing, and you're kind of right about that, the east to west movement on his pitches, but he is a guy who, if the problem is sometimes if he doesn't locate his cutter or his fastball, he does get exploited pretty quickly. That being said, I think he was able to his stuff moves though enough to where I think he can really get north and south, and he can change eye levels a little bit. But the velocity is there. If the velocity holds, I think he's going to be fine. That being said, the reason why I don't want him as a reliever or like the 2-inning, 3 reliever is I think he is a guy who can get through the lineup the first 2 times. Third time might be a team like Philly, for example. He's playing the Phillies on Sunday. I think his next start is Sunday Night Baseball. That's going to be a real challenge because the Phillies are a very good offense, and if he can navigate through that without a lot of problems. But this is where the Chris Fetter effect comes in, and they kind of fine tune this a little bit. But comparatively speaking, where he was last year compared to now, in his first year in AA, it is leaps and bounds. Where I think he allowed like at one point 18 or 19 home runs last year before he got shut down with an injury. So I think the biggest thing for him is if he can get that cutter going and locate slider, and we can really go with his 3-pitch mix, I think he's fine. And Melton's a guy who I'm really really impressed with this year, who's taken the next step forward.
Yeah, I wanted to get this. Mitch asked if any ideas why they called Cryler up instead of Jahan. Yeah. Defense, strictly defense. Like right now, if with Sweeney back down in AAA, if something happened to Baez or McKinstry had already been pinch hit for or something like that, you don't have another viable shortstop on the roster. So, and the same thing with Parker Meadows going to the IL. They could play Vierling in center. They could move Riley Green there. I don't think they want to, or Winsel Perez. But it's just I think a helpful defensive replacement. And I don't know. He may go right back down once Paddack joins the roster. So it's just a short-term thing.
Yeah. Who told Vest to sweep the leg? When did that happen? That was one of those things where I was just kind of like I was on my way back because we had J.J. Cooper on. I left the game, and it was the first time I sat as a fan at a Tigers game in 3 years because my niece turned 16 this year, and she goes, "Hey, Uncle Roger, can you sit with us?" And so I was like, "All right, cool. I can oblige with that." So, but yeah, we watched Melton do his thing, and then Andy Ibanez, like you mentioned earlier, and Dylan Dingler just, chip shot to center field. And he was making very good contact, and Verling also had a really nice, it was a double there in the gap that also played a difference against former Tiger Erod. So I almost forgot that it was they were starting against him tonight. Like when he was announced the starter, there was no boo or nothing. It was really kind of like but then again, the stadium was still not as full as it was earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. It's been such a strange 2 weeks. The Tigers fans were kind of jumping off cliffs. The sky was falling because they were playing so poorly. And then there was like the Glaber home run yesterday, and then that offensive explosion late in the game. It kind of felt like it lifted a 10,000 pounds off the backs of the Tigers and the fans. And then they went out and got an early lead again and had a nice game. And so, I don't know. I don't know if if they had been playing the way they were playing the last 2 weeks, like if they had been continued playing well the last 2 weeks, I feel like there might have been a bigger, louder, more raucous crowd. But I think there's people are a little bit subdued right now. They're waiting for a little bit scared. But yeah, I think also getting to Erod pretty early helped. They're like, we don't need to boo them, just beat them.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's just even every team has lulls like this, and that's the thing that Dodgers have struggled. They were losers of 11 out of the last 12 or something to that effect. So it happens. This kind of thing happens, and some of the freaking out was really, and as far as just everybody has a bad night. By the way, Jake wants to know what's up with these balls getting by Torque at first. Some of these throws weren't great either, but I think it was just Torque was having a bad off night too. So I don't know. It was Baez lately has been skipping a lot of throws over there. So
yeah, it's he's normally pretty good at picking the ball in the dirt, but it's kind of tough, right? I don't know, the one from Ibanez I thought he should have grabbed, but it's just hasn't caused too much of an issue yet. But you hope that they can clean it up, and they work on that every day. Every day they're out there with little tiny baby gloves working on stuff like that. So it's just one of those things. But I don't know. It is trade deadline season. We're 3-4 days away from the trade deadline, and the Tigers have some pretty clear needs. They know it. I think people. It's funny. You see a lot of Tigers fans, like any move they make, they start yelling about how it's not that's not going to fix the team. And it's I get the frustrations, I guess, but it's like they're not going to stop maneuvering with their roster just because it's almost a trade deadline, right? Like they're still doing things because they want, they've been doing them all year. Whether it's grabbing Jeff Hartlieb or Luke Jackson or whatever, they've just been trying to find pieces that are useful. But they're gonna add to their bullpen for sure. We'll see about Suarez. I don't know. I feel like they may get outbid there by somebody, or who knows if they actually really want him that much. It would help for sure, but I almost feel like they need. And I don't know if this player exists, but instead of somebody who hits home runs and does nothing else, they almost need just another on base guy,
Like Willie Castro, like Cody from the Athletic suggested Willie Castro, former Tiger, whose game has completely changed since he got to Minnesota. And look, Minnesota's basically saying waving the white flag essentially at this point. So the Royals signed Seth Lugo to extension, and they traded for Randall Grichuk.
Grichuk.
So the Royals are still in it. Cleveland right now has been rocked with the scandal of Emilio Clase, another gambling scandal there. So, Dan Fernandez, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while in the chat. Good to see you. Mickey Monick, you know what, Jake? That is a good idea. And the Rocky, man, I almost put that in my piece too. I almost put him in my trade piece, but I was just thinking, I don't know if the Rockies would give him up. But then they went out and they gave up McMahon, who had some really control. So, but yeah, Dan, I got the sense too that no one really knew that Erod was pitching for the Tigers tonight. I really got that sense when I was down there tonight. Got this vibe, but you're reaching the point too. Getting back to the trade deadline here, the Chris Paddack deal gives them another arm. Is it going to be the only arm, as Chris mentioned? No. Look at the book. You look at tonight. Tommy Kahnle allowed that home run. They are really kind of it's a thing where they don't have the solution in AAA. Matt Manning's not going to come up and be it. As much as we like Matt Seelinger, he's not the answer. It's a bunch of 4A arms right now, and Ham is coming back from Erie. They're dangerously thin. When Mize is, right now the knee thing. Hopefully it's just a one thing, and that's it. But they are one injury. In terms of arm-wise, they don't have any depth right now. And so that is, to me, a cause for concern. So go out and get another starter that will, especially if you don't know if Jose, you never say this guy's name right.
Ukedi,
who threw a bullpen session over the weekend. We haven't heard anything about that at all. Whether that Cobb is, I don't think Cobb's going to throw a pitch here for the Tigers. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, he's not. There's no way.
No, there's no way. So that being said, they really possibly an arm or two, but yeah, you're right, Chris. Maybe a guy that can just get hits, just a guy who can go on base, just generate. And in terms of what the market is out there, I was thinking about somebody in Atlanta too. Like, Jackson Profar is a guy who the Tigers have chased before, but he's not having a really good year. And then he signed, I think, a 2-year deal.
Well, he got popped for PEDs, didn't he?
Yeah, he got popped. Yeah, he got popped for PEDs. So, and then I was trying to think about like the Reds are still in it, and the Reds are going. They're 6 games over 500. They are in the market to bring back Suarez. Is Suarez going to be the answer for the Tigers? No, I mean, and then you look at the AL East. You go back to Boston for a moment too with Bregman and all that. That's not. I don't think that's going to happen either. Toronto is just like right now is on a rampage, and then you have the Yankees who are making some interesting moves.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know how.
Well, I mean, yeah, Judge just hit the IL. Yeah, I mean, I'm going through and looking at the top hitters this year by on base percentage, and the best one who might be available is Ryan O'Hearn, a left-handed hitting first baseman who doesn't hit for a ton of power. So it's like that's not an ideal fit. It's hard to find a fit for somebody who's going to boost the offense. So I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they're working overtime, like kicking the tires on everybody in the league to see who they might like and who can help. But it may be that they don't add a bat, or if they do, it'll be a kind of a minor bat. But I'd be shocked if they're not adding to the bullpen with at least one, if not two, pretty quality relievers.
Yeah, I mean, even a guy, it'd be interesting too, is a guy who really didn't think about this from a standpoint of a guy like Mike Yastrzemski.
Former Giant.
Yeah, former. He's still with the Giants right now, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, he's still with the Giants. He's batting. He's got 2 WAR seasons, batting .232. He's a left-handed bat. I know he's not the most sexiest bat in the world, but that sounds like a Tiger bat. You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like a guy that they would add. That would give him a solid outfielder. So, yeah, is Drew Summers? Yeah, Saberhagen. We'll get to some of the questions here in a second. As far as are they still talking to Pittsburgh, Steve Rice? I don't know if they are talking to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, just today's a great example of this. The Tigers never ever leak anything. Yeah. If you're hearing rumors about who the Tigers are going to sign in free agency or take in the draft or trade for, it's not coming from the Tigers.
Yeah.
And the news broke on Paddack today. It came from the Minnesota side nationally with Ken Rosenthal. And then you saw the news about Reese Olson broke not from one of the beat writers. And I think this may be because do the Tigers have like a rule that you're not allowed to like tweet while they're doing the press conference or the talk there?
Yeah, you have to wait till afterwards.
So you didn't hear it from the beat writers, but Dan Miller, he doesn't care about that. He's not a Tigers beat writer, so he probably got that news and put it out right away. But that's the thing. Like any rumors we're hearing about the Tigers are not coming from the Tigers, so it's hard to know how much they actually are doing the stuff that you see. Like, oh, they're all in on Suarez. That's it behooves Suarez's agent and everybody else to make him seem more desirable. It's hard to know. I would be shocked if they're not talking to Pittsburgh. Bednar is one of the best relievers available, so you get Santana too. Those are two guys that are signed or under team control through next year, which is the sort of deal that we think the Tigers would like to make. And the Pirates, I think, are looking for bats, which the Tigers actually do have some. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to give up into the top 5, but it's possible. If you're getting Bednar and Santana, maybe they give up a Lorenzo for that. It's this year and next year for a couple of good relievers. I don't know, but they certainly have other guys they trade behind them. Anderson, Hao-Yu Lee, Montilla, all this stuff. So I don't know. It seems like that would be what I would be targeting.
Yeah, and even the reason why I was thinking about a bat is because just again the nature of injuries and those kind of things where we saw the bats kind of get into a little bit of a lull during this in July, and so you're hoping to. I mean, Parker Meadows has hit the IL too as well, and that gives them another. That's kind of a blow a little bit. As far as like, we're not forgetting about Justin Henry Malloy. Malloy may get a call up here in the next week or so, depending on the next couple moves here. But yeah, there's really, if you look at what in terms of what the Tigers have been able to accomplish here with the overproduction of their players, and they're sitting here with the second best record in baseball. All things considered, hey, you know what? Look, it is to me is a major accomplishment what the Tigers are doing right now. And the fact that they have infield depth to trade from like, for example, Max Anderson or Young, if they decide whomever is interested. And that's the thing, though, is that there's scout. Like, by the way, like it was a funny thing when Tony Paul tweeted out that there were scouts at Erie. There's scouts every time but that's the nature of it.
Yeah, and the scouts in Erie. That makes. I mean, they're going to be scouts watching those players every day, right? Like they're very good. But the scouts that were there in Erie were from teams that are looking to sell, right? It was Pittsburgh, Arizona, the Angels, and so yeah, teams are. If I'm a team trying to trade with the Tigers, I want one of these top 5 hitters, right? I'm going to try to push for it. Tigers are going to push back. But I think there are still deals to be made there. Like you mentioned, Malloy and Young, and to a certain extent, like Montero, those are guys who are basically MLB ready-ish, who could be part of a deal for a team that wants to, doesn't want to wait for a long time on prospects. But they would be part of a deal that also would include some other prospects, some guys at the lower levels. We've seen them move. They traded Enrique Jimenez today for Paddack. He was a guy, he was in our top 20, I believe, 19, 17, something like that. Very, very intriguing young prospect, but the key word is young, right? He's in the complex league. He's in rookie ball. If he gets to the majors at all, it'll be 4 or 5 years down the road. But that's one of the benefits of building this sort of deeper system is you can trade these guys who are years and years away who have enough potential to be worth something, and you get major league talent in return. Now, people debate, how talented Chris Paddack is, but it's useful for the Tigers now, and Jimenez is not. And they've got other players they can do that with.
Yeah, and as far as like Baltimore pitchers go, Dan, I mean, right now I think Bautista's injured, isn't he?
He's got a shoulder injury. Soto has already been traded. I think they still have Sir Anthony Dominguez. Is he still there?
Zach Eflin, but his numbers are, oh man.
Yeah, Eflin.
Eflin's been bad.
We did hear that they were hoping to get Eflin a couple of years ago when he signed with the Rays, but yeah, everything's been kind of downhill since then.
Sir Anthony Dominguez would be badass. That would be awesome if they could pick him up. The Reds are interested in him too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I'm sure he's going to be on the market. It's lots of strikeouts. He throws hard. It's with him. It's the walks are a little bit iffy, but you can't really be super picky, right? You need some helpful back into arms, and he would be an option for sure.
Yeah, Soto got traded to the Mets too. That was a good trade by the Mets as well because I watched the Mets and Giants game yesterday. It was a Sunday night game, and the one thing about it's so weird to see 2 former Tiger pitchers and Reed Garrett and Soto. They were in back to back, I think it was, in there. But the one thing too about Baltimore's also seen some. Trevor Rogers is back in rotation.
Yeah, he pitched really well the other night.
Yeah,
I think maybe they've been vindicated slightly in that, but I think they probably would rather have Kyle Stowers right now.
Oh yeah, I would rather have Kyle Stowers there right now.
Yeah,
what a trade by Miami on that. But no, and look, we talk about Chris Paddack a little bit too. Paddack is a guy who has really good extension. Some numbers there. I think he's going to be a guy who can neutralize lefties, but it's just really what can he bring to the table. So I did an article about. I was going to go more of an analytical article, but I wanted to as soon as stuff started changing really rapidly. So I started looking at In terms of chase rate, he's in the 85% at 31.7. His K rate is way down. I mean, that's where he struggles. His walk rate, though, is 80 in an 87% profile. But he can throw first pitch strikes. He's above the league average in that. His best pitch really is his slider. So he's a slider changeup, and that kind of favors the Tigers a little bit and what they can able to do with that. So that is favorable. Also, the guy that picked up too from the reliever, I'm drawing a blank on something.
Randy Dobnik?
Ryan Dobnik with the sweet goatee mustache. For those who are familiar, he was pitching in the USBL over here in Utica. You may have got an Uber ride from him. Who knows? But that is just Toledo depth. And that's really a guy you just put in there along the 14 arms. I think it was Alan said it earlier in the chat, among the 14 arms they have right now. And but here's the thing too, like, and we're going to talk about this a little later when we do the slides. That's a situation across the board. Erie is just adding nothing but bullpen arms. West Michigan is doing the same strategy, and Lakeland's doing it's all across. It's out of necessity. It's pitching chaos at all four levels, and we'll show the evidence why here in a second. Because outside of, I'm trying to think. I think maybe West Michigan is the only team with a healthy rotation technically. Lakeland.
Well, they've kind of a lot of these guys have been moving around. So some of the starters in West Michigan got moved up to Erie, and some of the starters in Lakeland got moved up to West Michigan. So, it is a lot of scrambling to fill innings at every level. I don't know. They're doing the best they can right now on the fly, and maybe it'll be a benefit down the road with all these relievers in Toledo and Erie, but. I don't know. We'll see. And some of the relievers are actually perking up here. They're showing a lot of promise. So we may actually see a couple of them before too long.
I like the idea of Reed Detmers too, Mitchell and Ryan Hensley. But I don't know if the Angels don't seem like the type of team that would just. I don't know. I don't understand Angels' logic. It's the same thing with the Rockies. Like you don't understand what the Angels do. I don't understand they have no idea what the Angels do.
It'd be interesting though, because they always feel like the way they draft, the way they sign players, they feel like, at least they act like they feel like they can compete every year, and they haven't for a long time. But you do wonder if they would be a fit for some of the players who are closer to the big leagues, like a Malloy and a Young and a Montero, something like that, where you could get Taylor Ward and Reed Detmers out of them and solve maybe two problems. That would be an option. I don't know. It depends on what they're asking for, what they want.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. Somebody was just saying that George Springer took a ball off the side of his head.
Ouch.
Wow. Yikes.
That's not ideal.
Yeah.
We don't like to see players get hit in the head. It
Yeah,
certainly has happened to enough Tigers prospects this year.
Oh, yeah, that's... Javi Baez in the chat says Angels' issue is their ownership. Yeah. But Moreno is a guy who... I don't know what he's thinking sometimes, so that's another story for another day. I'm lucky we're not the Angels minor league report, because I would probably drive myself crazy with that. But, yeah. So, anyway, moving on to... So, Chris Paddack will make his Tiger debut on Wednesday, and beyond that, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow might be another trade. The trade deadline has kind of gotten off to a really early start, really. There's been trades every day since, what, Thursday, Chris?
There were multiple trades today. We saw that the Rays traded, was it Danny Jansen to the Brewers?
Yeah.
And then they made another trade with the Marlins to get another catcher. So oddly enough, like Liam Hicks survives. Liam Hicks is just like
last man standing.
Franchise cornerstone for the Marlins now. I would expect to see more trades tomorrow. We saw the Yankees trade for Ryan McMahon the other day, which theoretically took them out of the Suarez sweepstakes, but who knows? You never know with them. It's going to be, despite not a ton of marquee players on the market, it does feel like it's going to be a busy trade market. Just, some teams really moving just about everything they have.
Yeah, JJ was saying that too in the earlier part of that Jadhir is going to be a stud for the Rays. That guy is going to be definitely, yeah,
He's a lot of fun. He makes he's not like super fast, but he makes crazy defensive plays, and he's got a big leg kick, and it looks like he shouldn't be able to hit, and then he hits everything. He's the guy that Jaden Ham told us he couldn't get out last year.
yeah.
So that's in whenever the Rays trade for somebody, you assume that they he's going to end up being a pretty good player. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Paddack does. I'm sort of curious. When he was a prospect, which now is like 8-10 years ago, he was he would get like 70 grades on his command and his changeup. And the question was, can he ever throw a breaking ball? And then he's been injured a ton, and he had a great rookie year, and ever since then it's been up and down. It's probably foolish to think the Tigers can unlock anything new right now, but they may be able to help optimize him slightly and get. You're just trying to get what? How many? 7 starts, 8 starts. You're trying to get 35, 40 innings out of him down the stretch. And
Yeah.
then, who knows? Maybe you can move him to the bullpen, and he turns into Bo Brisky from last year with touching 97, 98 with a good changeup. We'll see.
Also, another thing I wanted to report as well is that the Tigers did sign, per Tigers turmoil, the Tigers signed Meridian Leftiu, the shortstop, in the 19th round. So the only person that they had not signed and they won't sign is Ethan Rogers, their 18th round draft pick. So 19 out of 20 draft picks have signed with the Tigers. That's pretty good.
That's 20 out of 21.
Yeah.
Because they had the 2 first rounders.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's that was the surprising one, because they only had like another $14,000 to give him. But we talked about this before. Sometimes kids just want to play pro ball, and they found another one who did. And who knows?
They signed a guy, another shortstop too. They Lakeland Christian.
Yeah, the undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. It's like
Something.
Carl Anderson. Yeah, it's but yeah, they love adding these up the middle athletes, and the more the merrier, right? You get a dozen of them, maybe a couple of them pop, and you're in business.
Richard, trades bias from McGonigal. No. Go ahead, Chris.
Baez has been fun. It's been a fun bounce back year. You're still not trading him for anything. You're not going to get anything for Javi Baez. It's 3 years left on his deal at $75 million or something like that. You can't trade him. Yeah. You could cut him, but why? He's been fine this year. He's been good. And McGonigal, if you want McGonigal to come up and hit 220, then he can. He's a very good hitter, and he'll eventually figure it out at the big league level. But he's 20. He's got 10, 12 games at AA.
Yeah.
We believe in his hitting ability for sure, and but the big leagues is so much harder than AA. He could survive, but he's not going to make you any better right now, I don't think.
So, thank you, Alan. He said Deantis. Is it? How do you say that, Chris? Is it Deantis Cologne?
Or is it Denandres, I think is his name. Yeah. Denandres Cologne.
Okay. Aiden, thank you for the $4.99. Appreciate that. He says, hoping for Santana. This is definitely a long shot, but I like Anthony Bender too. Will you guys be back in Toledo for any games? Yes, we will be in Toledo. More than likely sometime this week, actually. So we were just talking about that last week in Erie, that we've been long overdue to go back to Toledo, and our schedule is open up a little bit. Outside, I think Saturday I have a softball thing, but Friday, I was going to head down to Toledo at some point. So that the Toledo, they're playing St. Paul this week. So, which is with Randy Dobick changing.
I'm in Minneapolis for the next 3 days, and then I can try to come back and hit Toledo. Then I'm in Pittsburgh next week. Yeah. So
Chris is traveling. I'll probably hitting up Toledo. I'm gonna go to Akron. I'm going to Akron Sunday. I'm meeting up with Justin from the Cleveland Cleveland Guardians podcast. Who does prospect stuff, and we've been talking about hanging out. Matt Wood will be on. Oh, so Matt, I might meet you up there on Friday. I'll let you know. More than likely. I'm just trying to think of. I think I have something. Today was the first day I felt like not total crap because I had food poisoning. But before we get to the board, though, I just want to say one little quick thing, Chris. I think that I don't think you're going to know where I'm going to go with this rant here, but a certain radio personality was complaining about the broadcast and how it's a comedy duo and everything like that. Guys, who I'm talking about. And look, as far as like podcasters go, we're not in the realm of Pacaputo or 971, and stuff like that. But good Lord, just everybody has opinion. We have opinions and all that stuff, but the amount of some of the stupid things in the last couple of weeks I've heard, I just can't take it anymore. Like, if you have a problem with the way people, like, if somebody, Jason Benetti, the way he does things because he's adding something that you're not used to, then you know what, Mark, I'm going to say the names. If you don't like the way Jason Benetti does things, that's fine, and you have the platform to say so, fine. But just shut up, man. Just sounds so old and just like begrudging. Like, here you are talking about prospects, and your top 10 list is such a bullshit thing. And I know for a fact you're not watching the effing prospects, so I don't normally gatekeep those kind of things. But enough. If you're gonna sit there and you watch, like, you don't even go to you don't even go to the games anyways. So if you're gonna bitch about it, fine, but just shut up. Just shut up. Let's just, like, you're out of touch. Enough. Jason and Andy are fine. They do their thing. They're not harming anybody. Oh, they're not calling baseball the way it is. I don't care if you don't like my voice right now. I don't care. But shut up. Just shut up. Don't talk prospects if you don't know. I know, Mark, I know that sometimes Jason's not for everybody. I understand that, Mark. And that's your opinion. That's fine. But I just don't, people who are out of touch with the game, who are going to sit there and dictate to tell me what that's basically because they have a voice and I don't. Technically, I just, outside of this, nah. I'm sorry. It's like that's the problem I have. Is like, the booth is having fun. I get it. It's not for everybody, but then it's the same people who are also complaining about Matt Shepard. And Matt Shepard, I had no problem with either. I have no problem with anybody of these people. I just find it funny that we have to sit here and nitpick this stuff, and they are in the middle. Like, yes, they were in a losing streak. Yes, they had the second best record in baseball. What are we, like? The Tigers have played the best they've played in a decade, and we're sitting there nitpicking about this. What the hell are we doing here? No, seriously, what are we doing here? The Tigers are playing. They're in a bad stretch of baseball, and we're sitting here nitpicking about the dumbest bullshit. And that's the part I don't get. Look, it is beyond my comprehension here. You can have your opinion, fine. Say whatever you want. I'll say whatever I want. But my opinion is like, look, the Tigers are doing things. They're in the national. They're going to be on another national game on Sunday. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. This is, if you want to nitpick all that stuff, fine. But anyway, I just want to get that off my chest because it's been bugging me for all week.
Yeah, Lord forbid that baseball broadcast be entertaining. I get it. If they're playing terrible baseball, you don't necessarily want to hear the announcers having fun, right? But I don't know that them being morose and like sad sack is going to help the situation either. And I like it today. Dan Petrie was laughing about some guy accidentally elbowed his girlfriend in the face. I don't know if you saw that segment. No, you were at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just looking at a sign in the stands and laughing about it. And then Petrie saw this guy accidentally elbow his girlfriend, and he was cracking up. And so they had to go back and look at it. And I'm like, that's fun to me. I don't know. Like, they can still offer you all the analysis in the world, right? And I like that stuff. But if they're having a good time broadcasting, I think, generally speaking, I'm having a good time watching. And Mark, I get, some people think it's too much. That's fine. You don't have to watch it, right? You can mute it. You can listen to the radio. It's not that big of a deal.
No, Mark, that's fair. You know what? You're right. Sometimes he does miss that, and that's that's fair. He doesn't. What Mark said was, it only bothers me when he doesn't announce the defensive changes, which he misses a bunch. That's fine because that's critical to the game. You're watching a game and you want to know that all of a sudden that somebody's made in there. That makes perfect sense. And so it's just and 40 Gumble perfectly said here. Tigers did the thing that everyone has always asked: play well to the beginning of the damn season, put themselves in position to lose 12 out of 13, and still be up 8 games in the division. Thank you very much. That is perfectly well said. You earned this one.
Off the Frickers building.
You know what's wild is I was prepared for them to lose yesterday, just because and I was looking it up, and there'd only been like 7 times in Tigers history where they'd lost 13 games in a 14-game span, and they were this close to being the 8th time. And the rest of the time, like the years you would predict, right? 2019, 2003, and then like 1996, 1993, and then you had to go back to 75 and all that stuff. But yeah, they almost had one of the worst stretches in Tigers history, and they still have an 8-game lead in the division, possibly 9 if they win tonight. So, nobody likes to watch bad baseball. We've talked about it, particularly bad offense. It's excruciating. But part of being a baseball fan, and certainly part of being a baseball executive, is taking the long view of things, right? And I just kept thinking about, as the Tigers were going through this, like, man, in my lifetime, I don't remember, the early 80s that much, but in my lifetime, I've seen some of the worst baseball in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Like the 96 Tigers had the worst ERA ever, I think, until the Rockies.
Yeah.
2003, 119 losses. 2019, and even beyond that, I watched them fritter away a giant division lead in 2006. I watched them collapse in 2009. I watched them forget how to play baseball in 2 different World Series, 2006 and 20. Like, it happens. It's tough, but we watch the game because we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And on the flip side, we get last year, right? 0 chance for them to make the playoffs, and then they do. And I don't know. There's a lot of good things still happening despite that rough stretch. And if it's, if announcers making jokes to get us through it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark goes, Chris just mentioned 1975. I lived through that.
19 straight losses in 1975.
Yeah. That's like the Pistons last year. What, they lose like 29 straight or something like that? What? Pistons lost?
Yeah, they set the record, didn't they?
Yeah, they set the NBA record. We've witnessed the Lions not winning here. Okay, there's been other things. There's like the Astros have lost 5 in a row. There's other things that we've witnessed that are far worse. And you're gonna sit there and bitch about 2 guys being light about it? Shut up. I don't care. That's why I don't listen to you. Or there's some really good people that work at 97.1, and it's a fine radio station establishment and everything. But dude, shut up. You don't go to games, just bitch and moan. Stop. I've had enough. I can't. I don't care if I'm ever. Not like I'm gonna be on those airwaves anyways at some point. But I'm just sick of him like coming out of the woodwork. He got so much attention. He got on awful announcing.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that.
I was surprised. Like, who gives a shit? So it was just. Anyway, sorry. Part of my language, it was just something that was boiling up inside me. And again, doing this for a decade here, I did say their names. I'm gonna say them again. Jason Benetti, Andy Dirks are fine. It's exactly who it is. It's Pat Caputo, the book on sports. He doesn't say he's a book on sports anymore, or whatever he is. I know he doesn't follow us, and I know he doesn't follow Tiger Minor League account. That's fine. I don't care. I know why he doesn't, because he doesn't really like us. I don't care. I used to be his board op 20 years ago. I've come a long way in my days, folks. So, anyway, whatever. Let's just move on to bigger and better things, and that is the farm report. Our infamous slides here are as the Tigers have released Brent. It's funny, by the way. Brendan White just followed us on Twitter after he got released.
I saw that. Yeah, I feel bad. He was, it was a great story. Another late round. Was he a 27th rounder, 19th rounder, something like that?
Yeah, he was a late rounder. Yeah.
And had really nice pitch metrics, that slider, and then got injured and just could not throw strikes, which is, to me, is always the cruelest thing, right? When you've got this gift to be able to throw a ball so hard and make it spin and do all this stuff, but you can't put it where you need to succeed. So it's a really good arm. Hopefully he's going to find a chance somewhere else. He strikes me as one of those guys who's going to show up on like a tread video, right?
Yeah.
Pumping 97 with a nasty slider and get signed somewhere else. So we'll hope for that. But it's the nature of the business, right? It's people come and people go. But that was a tough one. And then, we had a whole bunch of, the big promotions were a couple weeks ago, but there are a lot of really interesting promotions going on over the last week.
Yeah, and by the way, and you know what? C goes, he says, while you're on this, none of your audience listens to 97.1. You're absolutely right. I'm glad you guys don't. I'm just venting. It is, in that it's just venting, really, because the reason why, because here's the thing, for what we do, sometimes I wish we were just a little bit above what we like. You know, we've been on. I was on WJR recently. We've been on Grand Rapids Radio. We put a lot of work into this, and sometimes when you see the same old people doing the same old thing over and over again, and somehow they're called the experts on minor league stuff, it bothers me a little bit because we put a lot of work in what we do. And I'm not saying like, just sometimes I wish we just got a little more street credit. That's all. That's all. I mean, I'm just venting a little bit because, that's all.
And I don't ever listen to the radio. I'll listen for games, and especially if Greg is calling the game, or listen to the post game or pregame or whatever. But today I actually, like, the trade went down while I was at work. I left work and I'm like, I'm curious to see what the radio has to say about this. Turn it on, 4 minutes of commercials. Turn it off. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I don't care about any of this stuff. So anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And you're right. Scott Harris has come on our podcast. We had Ryan Garco on.
It'd be cool if they would come on again.
Yeah, Ryan. We just do to come back again. I just emailed them again today about that. So, yeah, so a lot of moves. So there was a whole lot, as Chris put in the slides, a whole mess of other moves. So Troy Watson from Toledo from Erie, the Tigers, had called them up. Jaden Ham was on rehab. RJ Paddack finally got up to Toledo. Josh Randall had a really strong appearance in West Michigan. We'll get to it shortly. Moises Rodriguez, a guy who we've talked about quite a bit here, got a promoted from West Michigan to Lakeland after he's been really getting some good velocity, and then Mikel Ashman as well. As far as what happened with Toledo this week, they didn't. I don't know why. Is it just me, or do they always struggle in Indianapolis?
They do. Yeah, it feels like it. I don't know why, but it's been an up and down season for them. And they did. We saw some good things from Jace Young and How You Lee last week, which was encouraging.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, they're not hitting for a ton of average there, but they hit some extra base power, which is nice to see. But yeah, it's with Melton now in Detroit, the pitching there in Toledo is kind of suspect, right? We've got Devin Smeltzer, you've got Wilkel Hernandez, who got bombed out of into the Stone Ages last week. 2 starts, 9 innings, 18 hits, 8 earned runs, right? Like we saw Watson pitch on Friday night. Yep. Saturday. The Moon Mammoths game.
Was it Friday? Oh, no.
Friday was Serwa.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because he pitched the Moon Mammoths game. That's right.
And he's got a good arm. It's a fastball. It's like 96, 97, and he's got some hard cutter and field to spin. But it's just kind of, I don't think he locates very well, and the fastball's kind of straight. But they called him up to Toledo because they need him. So it's, I don't know. It was fun to watch Trey Cruz get his first AAA home run. He absolutely murdered that ball. I don't know if you saw that. It was like
I did. I saw that.
430 feet. And Valencia is a guy we like as kind of a somewhere we have him in the back of our 30 to 40 range as an interesting kind of backup catcher profile. But yeah, they just they didn't play terribly well last week, and there you go. That's how you end up going 1-5.
Yeah, and Mark was talking about disappointed that Manning has never progressed, and there's times where there's glimpses of it, and then there's sometimes he just comes back. Steven, his question is any chance does Paddack get a late season look? That's a good question, Steven. I think they might consider it if he does really, really well in Toledo, but it depends. I think the velocity is still holding at 96, 97 there too, so I think the next couple weeks for him are going to be an opportunity to see what he is capable of. I'm gonna go let the dog in real quick. She's been scratching. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, I guess we are sitting here. Oh, Workman is about out of opportunity, isn't it? Yeah, Gage Workman is one of the things we were talking about with J.J. Cooper earlier, and the Yankees have a prospect named Spencer Jones who's gone absolutely bonkers lately, but he's always worked with a 35% strikeout rate. And that's always been Workman's Achilles heel. Is he just his swing doesn't work to make enough contact, and he just can't manipulate the barrel enough. the tools are really enticing. The power is plus, the speed is plus. He's a plus defender at third base. He plays all over the field now, but the strikeouts are just too high that he may get some more big league chances, but I don't think he's ever going to be a regular big leaguer. He's probably going to be one of those guys who puts up, tons of numbers and somewhere in AA and AAA throughout his career. And Matt Manning, he's not Nuke Lelouch. I think when you got to think about it, for somebody like Matt Manning, who was anointed as the top 25 prospect and looked like he was going to be a future part of the Tigers rotation, and now he's just kind of back at AAA pitching in relief, it's got to be hard to have any kind of confidence. And so what you see are these up and down results, and I'm sure he's just not in a great mental place either, right? Like it can't be good for him. So he may be a change of scenery guy.
Oh, you talking about Workman or
Manning?
Oh, Manning, yeah.
Am I crazy to say Workman over Cryler? It depends on what you want. He's going to hit about the same as Cryler. He might run into a home run or something like that, but he's not as good of a defender as Cryler. He's a good defender, but Workman has always been kind of prone to errors for some reason. Like he'd get in the right position and then just kind of fumble the ball. And Cryler proved to be kind of surprisingly strong in center field, and he's always been a solid shortstop and a very good third baseman. So I don't know. Maybe they'll give him a chance at some point, but I doubt it. Not with the 40% K rate.
Yeah, no, and the other thing too, the reason why they're both playing the outfield is because out of necessity, really.
Yeah.
But Haiyu Lee did make the Baseball America. We talked about him a little bit on the podcast with JJ Cooper. By the way, if you are a Patreon member, they'll be uploaded in your inbox tomorrow. So, but yeah, he's a guy who has been, again, as Chris mentioned this earlier, we were talking about like everybody's like, call him up. Well, he still chases high fastballs. He still chases quite a bit, but the batted ball data is getting better. But yeah, just look at it working. Ooh, for 4. Ooh, I didn't realize that. Oh, yikes.
Yeah, that's why they came up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I was just saying, like, he's always had the tools, but he's never been able to kind of manipulate the barrel enough to reach all the different pitch shapes that he needs to, and so it's a lot of swing and miss. And and he's always been a guy who expands the zone too. So it's not a great mix of flaws.
By the way, speaking of a guy who should be in Toledo, Andrew Magno, who had a really stare down after striking out. that was intense. I liked the way you caught that there the other night. But McGonigal, Clark, we're saying was settling nicely. Some really lengthy at bats this weekend too. They were really working the Somerset Patriots count pitchers really well in terms of working the count, and the Erie is again doing also like they're getting some reinforcements pitching wise, which is something they didn't really get. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. In terms of pitching reinforcements from last year from West Michigan, that wasn't the case last year. There wasn't a really lot of guys, was there?
Well, I think they got Jake Miller for the final start of the year, right?
Right.
Burhan, I think, came up in like May.
Yeah, he was a really call up. Yeah.
But it was, I think Melton there all year. Job was there for most of the year. Yeah, they didn't. I'm trying to think. I don't think they got anybody else from West Michigan last year. Maybe Carlos Pena.
Yeah, he was like Pena was going back and forth between.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
Right?
So, yeah, it's just sometimes there are gaps in the system, and there are some arms that I think. I mean, we've seen Serwa come up. There and Alba came up. He gave up. Alba's got interesting stuff, but obviously gave up 3 home runs because it's jumping up a level is always tough. But there are a couple other arms that are still in West Michigan that could theoretically come up at some point. But, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what that rotation looks like as they head into the playoffs. Because, right now you still got Austin Bergner making starts. And, I would think it probably, if they were to start the playoffs right now, it probably would be Bergner, Burhan, and Serwa.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens there because I think out of all the rotation, out of all the ones that are all the pitching ones, I think to me Erie presents the best rotation of them all right now. I mean, that's just in terms of like actual pitching depth. They're not having like these they're sort of having bullpen starts right here and there.
Yeah.
So. But, it's the offense that really has been clicking as of late. And so Max Anderson, 5 for 21. He had his first home run since June 12th with, I think it was the one he had, I want to say left. I think it was left.
He had I don't remember the first home run there, but it was a big one
Yeah,
for him. And then his other home run came for whatever reason. It was like the free game of the day on Sunday, I think, and the minor league broadcast just would cut out of nowhere, and it'd go to commercials, and so it completely missed. Yeah, it missed Max Anderson's home run in that game. Like, oh, what happened? So that was a bummer. But yeah, what we've seen from the top of that offense is what we expected to see, right? Like, Max Clark is playing as well as I've seen him play in pro ball. It's he's still doing the things that we liked before, where he's working long at bats and walking a lot, and he'll take his singles to the opposite field. You know, and sometimes they're hard. You know, they had the walk off the other night where it was, I think Clark started with Clark hitting a 104 mile an hour single to left field, and then Lorenzo hit a double to deep left center, and then Anderson hit the walk off. But yeah, he's doing that, but he's found a swing where he's lifting the ball more, and he's attacking when pitches are in the zone that he can drive, which is all we really wanted to see earlier in the year from him. So that's been good to see. And McGonagall's McGonagall. He's striking out a little bit more than he has before, but I'm sure he'll get that under control soon, and he's hitting doubles as always. Briseño is the only one who hasn't really found the power stroke yet, but he's still putting together really solid at bats. He's walking plenty, and the power will click for him. I'm convinced of it, and when it does, it's going to be it's going to be kind of crazy, because then Lorenzo and Anderson are still hanging out there. You still have Myers and Holton who can go deep at any time. Bigby's playing pretty well. So it's just a really, really deep lineup. You see the record right there is only 13-13, but I feel like they're going to go on a run relatively soon.
Yeah, and I know Myers changed his batting in terms of his changing his batting mechanics, and he's been hitting better as of late. So, but this is where it is a kind of a thing where he's batting. I think he's over 300 last month or so. So he's been hitting more with more power too as well. And so yeah, and so I think that he's doing fine as far as that goes. So
and I briefly mentioned that some of the relievers are showed up. Ashman came up. This was his Double-A debut this week, and what do you know? 3 more scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts, and still, despite throwing 90-92 with the fastball, so it's just impressive. And Tyler Madison is starting to look like his old self, which is really nice to see. A lot of high spin fastballs, 95, 96 again, which is very promising because he is on the 40-man roster. I don't know if we'll see him this year, but it wouldn't necessarily shock me if he just kind of takes off and comes back. And then Tanner Colehep continues to be just a really fascinating arm. Who, if he can throw strikes and stay healthy, he's going to be a big league reliever. It's just a matter of doing those two things.
Yeah, and that change up with that spin rate is, again, ridiculous. Absolutely. One of the things that stood out on our trip to Erie was the spin rate, and just like, damn. We'll see there. As far as Steven goes, might Rayner be back for the Arizona Fall League? I don't think so. I don't.
No. So the thing is, like Cole Keith went out around the same time. I think maybe even a little bit later than Rayner did, but he didn't have surgery, right?
Yeah.
And Rayner did have surgery, so I don't think Carson Rucker had surgery and didn't play again for a full year. Like, basically didn't come back until this April or March or whatever. So I don't think they would push Rayner. I don't know if there's necessarily any reason to do that. There are plenty of candidates to go to the Arizona Fall League, right? Brett Callahan missed 6 weeks. Jack Penny missed time. If Jake Miller comes back healthy, he's already been there once. They could send him again. And Lucy could go to the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah.
They chase down some javelinas. But, so I don't see it with Rayner, but who knows? That would be awesome. That'd be a good reason to go there, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, like you were talking about Miller too. So C wants to know, does high A and Double-A batted ball not exist? It does. So there is Hawkeye data available, but
it's not publicly available.
It's not publicly available. So I was gonna say it's not publicly available though. So, for example, sometimes you'll hear on the broadcast, you'll hear it on sometimes we'll have guys who will tell us, privately about certain guys. So we'll ask about certain people, and then we'll get that data for that's not available. So, for example, you'll find Toledo, you'll find Lakeland data that's available. We have a spreadsheet that Jerry updates daily that does a really good job on our back end. But as far as like what you see in Erie and I think what there's no username attached to this, but 5 or 6 guys in Erie with real potential, and there's a bunch of guys who are real old guys. That's accurate.
And welcome to minor league baseball.
Yeah,
you may occasionally see a team, like you could argue that the West Michigan team earlier this year, it's 5 or 6 guys with a lot of potential, and then some other mildly interesting guys. But that's usually what you see in the minors. You're not going to see a team that's entirely composed of prospects ever, really.
Right. So the Whitecaps continue to roll along. I mean, the Whitecaps have not missed a beat.
There are 2 pennies on there. Sorry.
That's okay. There is the offense continues to be a juggernaut. Are you doing it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 pennies. That's my 2 cents.
They went 4-2 in Peoria. From state, they've been able to continue the Andrew Jenkins Midwest Player of the Week with a monster week, 9 for 23 with 3 home runs. Mark, thank you for the $5. We really appreciate it. So you're going to get a
Off the Frickers building.
and then a
exquisite.
Yeah, you know what? We'll give you
That ball is gone.
I'll give you a 3 for.
Nice.
Touch 'em all time.
So yeah, and Chris, I think Emily, I would say Emily Walden called this. West Michigan was not going to miss a beat at all when those guys were gone, and she was totally correct on that.
Yeah, and it's still just everybody doing it. Like, so this week you see it's Andrew Jenkins, and Pacheco had a solid week, and Seth Stevenson. You look down there, John Peck, who's been awesome for the last couple months, didn't do much of anything, but it didn't matter, and they still went 4-2 on the road, 20-10. It's kind of wild that they've been able to. I feel like their lead is. Did I screw that up? No, it's Lakeland who has a crazy lead now. Sorry. So yeah, they're. I mean, it doesn't matter. They've already made the playoffs, but it's still kind of fun for them to just keep whooping up on teams.
Yeah, whooping is a good way to put it. See, with a real quick question here: what percentage of draft guys usually play fall league?
So you mean like guys who come straight from this most recent draft?
Yeah. Or just draft. I think draft in general. Within the year. Usually with I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're talking about players who get drafted and who eventually go to the Arizona Fall League, it's still you're talking about a pretty small percentage. If you're talking about guys who were drafted this year and go to the Fall League, there might be 1 or 2. Yeah, I mean the Fall League. Teams choose who they want to go to the Fall League. There used to be more rules, and there aren't any rules anymore, other than I think because you'll see big leaguers go and play in the Fall League, but I think they have to be within like their first year or 2, or not, have accrued a certain amount of service time. But it used to be that you had to be in AA or above. You could have 1 player from below AA, and you couldn't have anybody else who was eligible to be in any other winter league. So somebody who had been drafted in like the Dominican Winter League or Venezuelan Winter League when that existed, they couldn't come play. But now there are no rules at all. It's just whoever. It's usually just teams send the guys who missed part of the time of the year so they can, stay on track for next year.
By the way, the Bridge League's that's starting in a couple weeks, isn't it?
Bridge League will, yeah, but that's, it's really hard to find any information. We got 1 or 2 Bridge League secret broadcasts last year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean that'll be, if we see those, that'll be our first glimpse probably at Yost and Oliveto and a number of other guys. But yeah, there's just the way they've gotten, they've moved up the complex league season. It makes it really hard to see these new draft picks.
It sucks too, and I know there's some they're actually working out. Thanks to Terry over at Tiger Minor League Tracker. If you go to Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, I think on Instagram too, Tiger Minor League Tracker. Terry does a fantastic job of photography and capturing when these guys are playing. She actually gave us a tip on Jake Miller, that Jake Miller is going to be back.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, sometime in the next hopefully by the middle of August, apparently.
Nice.
But he's been out longer. He has had back issues, so that's what's been going on with him. But so that's a great source, and she posted a couple of the new guys that signed. So, so West Michigan keeps rolling along. Lakeland. So we go on to Lakeland real quick here, and Lakeland's 21-7. Chris, good Lord.
Yeah, it's bonkers, and that's the one they've got a 7-game lead already in the second half. And again, like you look at that team right now, and you don't see it there. They just lost Josh Randall. He went up to West Michigan. They've lost. Montilla is on the injured list. Jackson Strong did not have a great week, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's wild that they're playing as well as they are. So, Hurtado has a crazy 32-game on base streak. I didn't realize that until they mentioned it on the broadcast. It was like he's hitting 14 straight games and 32-game on base streak, which is kind of crazy for a guy who's got like a 260 average. But they just keep getting it done. I don't really know how, but it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, Hurtado, by the way, it's so funny when after a game, I think he goes.
He goes, what now? Oh, sorry. It sounded like I got a wave like crashed on my head. I couldn't hear all of a sudden. You think he goes on to see if we posted about him?
Yeah, no, because sometimes I notice that right away. He'll after. Like Ricardo Hurtado liked the post,
Yeah.
So that's funny
I
to
get
see
it.
there. Yeah, no, I get it too. Like it's cool to see because more to provide that resource. But no, Jaden Ham's on back and like I said, the velocity's down, so there's a little pause for concern there. And Rutgers been figuring out a little like after we, sometimes it feels like every time we say, looks like Carson Rutgers figured out the next week it comes back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, it's he's making a lot of hard contact. You see, even his outs are like 104, 105 miles an hour. It's just it's a growing year for him. We'll see what happens. He's a guy just to remember. He's going to stay on our prospect list somewhere, but he'll need another year in low A. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Nick Dumsill could play in Lakeland.
Yeah, I would expect. I think it's pronounced Dumanil.
Dumanil.
Like the S is. I'm not trying to correct you or anything like that. It just it's he's a new player in the system. Yeah, I would expect to see him. Probably is it Goodman, the shortstop from Northeastern?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other college position players they took this year.
They sign a. I don't think they signed a. I don't. Oh, they signed that kid out of Loyal Marymount.
Oh, Ankeny, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect to see all those guys, unless there's an injury, and you never know, right?
And the catcher, I'm sorry, and that catcher too from Central Florida, right?
Oh, Espinal, yeah. So,
Espinal.
yeah, I would think that we'll see all those guys take the field for Lakeland down the stretch, maybe in the final week or so, final 2 weeks, because we saw it last year. Like Ashman was pitching last year.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Jake. The 20th round draft pick too from.
Douglas.
Yeah.
You know what?
Doomsnail, by the way. Doomsnail.
Doomsnail, yes, of course. Yes, sorry, Doomsnail, of course. Douglas is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because he was a guy. I think we talked about this. He was a two-way player at Alabama State, and he made his last pitching appearance like the final day of April, I want to say, and then he hit 9 home runs over his final 14 games. And then he was in that I forgot what it's called. I don't know if it was he was in the Andre Dawson Classic before the season, and he hit a home run in that. And then he was in another kind of All-Star game just
Friday.
a couple weeks before the draft.
No, it was actually during the All-Star break.
Oh, was it? Yeah. And he hit a home run in that game, and then he pitched in the 8th or 9th inning and was touching 96.
Yeah.
They drafted him as an outfielder. I don't know. I'll be curious to see what happens there because there's another kid in the system, Chris Williams, who kind of has been an outfielder and a pitcher, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what he can do because he's a big, strong dude, kind of classic right field tools. So it'll be fun to see him.
Yeah, the home run he hit on Friday was like a bomb, the center, deep center at the where the Braves play. But they are. There's a possibility we might see those guys in Lakeland down the stretch, and I think Lakeland has a good chance to win the FCL or FSL this year. As far as what happened to Owens, that's a good question. Was it the Swingman Classic? Thank you. Yeah, that's what it was.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. What was Owens' injury? Like, I couldn't remember. Was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it was. He wasn't gone for long.
Yeah.
But they wanted him to pitch down there, and it was not pretty.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes you can't take anything out of these rehab appearances. Like with Jaden Ham, we watched that, and it was like, oh boy, like he barely touched 90, and it just didn't look great. And I don't know. He's still got the same mechanics he had last year, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he's just building his strength back up. But the velocity is basically gone right now, and that really puts a dent in any kind of trade value you had, right? So that's unfortunate. With Owens, I don't know. He may have just been out there. He had 25 pitches to throw. He may have just been firing it right down the middle. I don't know. I didn't watch it. So
Yeah. As far as to the end the slides portion of the evening and last segment of the evening, the FCL Tigers lost in the FCL semifinals. Chris, they had runners in scoring position, correct?
they were down 4-2. They loaded the bases in the 8th inning with nobody out, and then David Smith and Brady Sirkonek and Nomar Fanjal struck out swinging. It was like, and then they loaded the bases with nobody out again in the 9th, and they got one run in, and then they lined into a double play, and then David Smith struck out, and so they lost 4-3. It was one of those things like, I think it was Osorio hit the line into the double play, and it was like you could just picture it, probably just smoke the ball right at somebody, and the worst possible outcome. So very unfortunate, and now their season is over. But we did see they called up a couple of players from the FCL to Lakeland already, although it was Anthony Florido and Shea Timmer, I think. So nobody not some of the more intriguing names. No Jude Warwick, no Kelvis Salcedo, no Wilbert Mendez, no Jake Diaz, not yet at least.
Yeah, that was a good observation, though, by the way, about Salas.
Yeah, Anibal Salas. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He's always been kind of a tooled-up outfielder, so it's nice to see him performing. And Brett Callahan was still down there rehabbing. I imagine we'll see him in West Michigan maybe this week.
Yeah.
Maybe in Lakeland, and then in West Michigan. But nice to see him back.
Yeah. And he's been out for a little while, too. There's been no updates. What was the other outfield? We always get questions on this guy, too, and I'm trying to draw a blank right now. He was at West Michigan. He would start the year, and then he went down, and we haven't seen him again. He was injured, and he came back up, but I'm trying to remember for the life of me. Is a utility guy that everybody likes.
Cole Turney?
Yeah, Cole Turney. We haven't heard from him in a while either.
He's just constantly injured throughout his entire college and professional career. It's unfortunate. Yeah, he always hits when he plays, and then he gets injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would, Mitch does mention Chris Rodriguez did kind of go bonkers this week after he went like a full month without an extra base hit, and then he had 5 in 2 games.
Yeah.
Two home runs and 3 doubles. And I'll say this, and I kind of briefly tweeted it out, like, a lot of people were like, oh, that, he's untouchable. That's the guy. He's, top 5 in the system for me. And the power is amazing for a 17-year-old. He's, hitting the ball 112 miles an hour. It's insane. But we said, and he's got like a 300 average, so the contact skills are great. But it's six walks and 32 strikeouts in 38 games, something like that. So that's a bad sign, or at least it's a red flag, right, for going forward. If you don't swing at anything in the DSL, you're going to walk 20% of the time. So having a single digit walk rate down there isn't necessarily great, but we'll see. He's very young and he's got time to improve.
Yeah. No, and that's really about it as far as it goes. The Rodriguez highlights too. Every time we post something, and it does pretty well on our Twitter. But don't forget to check us out. Speaking of that, so if you are, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It goes a long way, helps the algorithm gods. We have our Instagram, we have a Facebook page, and our Patreon. So if you are a Patreon member, like I mentioned earlier at the top of the podcast, if you are a paid Patreon member, you will be getting the JJ Cooper exclusive 1-hour interview we had with him for Baseball America as we broke down the Baseball America top 30, talked about the draft, we talked about Tiger Stadium, we talked about a lot. So it was a really good conversation with him, and we went back. I think we made a Obscure 94 Tiger reference too. So that'll be up here at 6 o'clock in the morning-ish. So yes, chicks don't dig walks, they dig the long ball. Absolutely. Richard with this Cubs got the best free agent, Matt Boyd, maybe a Cy Young Award winner. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening at home, Mark, thank you, Richard, everybody on the chat tonight, Mitchell, Jake, everybody. We definitely appreciate it. Stay close, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday for a trade deadline special. Brandon Dale, bless you boys, will be back. He had a computer issue. He was supposed to join us tonight and could not join us. So thank you for staying tuned with us late this evening. And yeah, we'll see you Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. And I forgot to put the music on. How did I forget that, Chris? That was kind of
Let the music play.